Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Princess and the Pod. I am your host, Yvette, and today we have a special guest, Dr. Fadi Hasan. Fadi, say hello to all of our viewers.
How's it going? How are you guys doing?
I'm assuming they're doing great. So let's start with how we met. Do you remember?
I think was it COVID during happy hours, right? I think that's when, yes, it was. I think it was you and Polly who at that time
Yes.
reached out to us. I was like, hey, we're meeting with a group of friends on Instagram, and it was like a Thursday habit that we were doing it for at least 2 to 3 months. And then we just continued to stay in touch. And I mean, I loved it. That was such a great time, I think, for all of us getting to
Yeah.
know each other, what we're doing, how we're doing things. And it just kind of went on from there. And that was like almost 6 years ago. Oh my God,
Oh my
time,
gosh.
time flies by. It's insane. 6 years ago, back in
Time
2020.
flies. And so much has changed since then. I really looked forward to that Thursday because I think a lot of us were just the uncertainty and we weren't sure what was going to happen. So it just kind of created like cohesiveness and a family. And we all had each other to vent to in different parts of the country, which was awesome.
It was great. I mean, yeah, I mean, you were in California. I was in
Hmm.
DC. Brad was all in Florida. Dimitri was all in LA.
Yeah.
Polly, I think Polly was in Philadelphia at the time.
Florida.
Oh, Florida,
Florida.
Florida,
Yeah.
Florida. Han,
Philly.
Philly. Han was in Philly. Naveen as well. John Kim was in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Jess Lou as well. Boston. It was just an incredible group of people, just random people. All of us through
I
Instagram.
know.
But yeah, like, so everyone was just waiting for it. I mean, those Thursday evenings were the best evenings ever. Everyone sharing personal stories and laughing about it. I miss those days a lot. I really do.
I
And
do too. We should do another one.
we should. I think the first time we met actually was at the AAP meeting in
Yeah.
Miami. I think it was maybe that same year. I think everyone was just so excited to finally meet each other. It was the best AAP meeting I think we ever had, hands down, because I still have pictures of it. I think when it was like all of us grouping together and just taking pictures. David Wong as well was one of it,
Yeah.
and Curry Levette. So it was phenomenal. It was just a phenomenal time.
It was really nice. And I think also because we all went to different places of training, we were able to combine all of our skills. We were mostly socializing, but we were also talking shop, right? So we could get everybody's different experience and like combine it. And I do feel like that made us better surgeons and clinicians.
100%. Like, yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. Like, different experiences, different training.
Hmm.
I think we were even showing at one point in time. I think we decided to show some cases,
Yeah.
like what we were seeing in the office, how we would manage it, and talking about photography and all the what photography gears we had at the
Right.
time. And I think every one of us went into a dive into the photography world because of Jess Lou. And I don't know how many stuff that I bought on Amazon because of that. I was just collecting stuff on photography gear here and there. But it made us, like you said, made us really better clinicians, better surgeons. And when we
Yeah.
came out of it, I was like, that was refreshing. Well, that was a good kind of opening our eyes into so many different things. It was a really, like I said, one of a kind experience for all of us that we experienced at the time.
It was nice. David snuck in there too, Atia, with
David,
his,
yes, it was only us. I think he was Perio by adoption. It was what he
yeah,
called at the time.
his honorary perio.
Honorary periodontist, that was it. And
Okay,
we
so tell the audience your origin story. Where do you come from?
so
How'd you get into dentistry? How'd you get into perio? Tell us all the things.
yeah, I'm from Baghdad, Iraq, born and raised there. Did actually 4 years of my elementary school in Dundee, Scotland, while my father was getting his PhD. So I did grow up with a nice, thick Scottish accent, but then moved back to Iraq, and I guess I lost it. So maybe watching too much American movies, I guess, growing up. And got into dental school back in Baghdad in 2002, finished in 2007. And a year later, I immigrated to the States. So I got here in 2008. And then, of course, I studied for the dental boards and did my TOEFL exam and got into University of Colorado, Denver. I graduated from there in 2011, which is a 2-year advanced standing program.
Mhm.
And then went to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, which is in Richmond, Virginia, for my perio training, 3 years. Finished in 2015, and been practicing in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. We call it the DMV area
Yeah.
since 2015, so 11 years now. And
Wow.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey. Like I've been an associate for many perio practices. I did the traveling periodontics as
Uh-huh.
well in those last 11 years. And not until exactly 3 years ago is when I opened my own private practice. So this is where I am today. I'm in my private practice and just
Yay.
celebrate 3 years on June 1st, actually.
Yay, congrats. We're really close. I'm starting my 4th year, so I think we're a year apart on the
We are,
startup journey.
are 1 year.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Yay. I forgot that you went to Colorado. That was on my list. So you did the IDP route. How was the TOEFL, by the way? Because I have my residents, you know a lot of my residents, and
I,
then
I
my
do.
current assistant took the TOEFL. I hear it's really hard, actually. I feel like I would fail. English is my second language too, by the way.
I mean, so I'll be honest with you. For me, I studied for it a week. I was like, I remember I had those TOEFL exam books that you study through it. Kaplan, so I think it was a Kaplan books at
Mhm.
the time. It had 7 chapters. I studied one chapter a day for 7 days. Like, so I just finished a chapter a day. I took the test, and at that time it was out of 120. I think did they just maybe 2, 3 months ago? Heard they changed the grading systems out of 6 or 7, something like that. And I scored a 107 out of 120, and I was like, okay, this is easy. I found it easy for me, maybe because I had some English background when I was in,
Right.
in my elementary school, so I might put that emphasis on it. So which is why I didn't see any challenges with it like my other colleagues did. But so I mean, it was a one time test for me, and that was it. And I went to Colorado. They only I think their minimum requirement for TOEFL was like a 94, I think at the time, applying for it. So for me, 107 was perfect. And I got lucky because my deadline for Colorado was literally, I think, March 31st. Back in 2009,
Mhm.
is when I applied for it, and the deadline was April 1st. So I submitted all my paperwork. I overnighted, and it was the first school I applied to, and I got an interview maybe 3 weeks after, or 4 weeks later. I got my interview letter. I was like, "Hey, you're welcome for an interview." It's like, "Awesome, this is great."
Yeah.
And then did my interview, and 3 weeks later, I got my acceptance letter. So
Nice.
I was like, "Great, this is going right on time." So, I got in. I was, I think, one of the youngest international IDP students at the time. I was like maybe 24, 25 when I had
Oh,
started, and some of my colleagues were 45 years old, literally
uh,
20 years older than me. So, I was exactly about the same age as your DDS colleagues. So
yeah.
I wasn't, exactly the same age as them, like 25, finished at the age of 26, 27 is when I graduated. 27 actually when I graduated at the time.
Nice. We just missed each other. I finished undergrad in 2010. Colorado was on my list, but the only problem was because it borders New Mexico, right? So a lot of my
Uh,
pre-dental like colleagues went there. But when I did my interview, it was like close to December, so a little bit later. And I was like hydroplaning and it was snowing. It's like, I'm gonna die. It's so
it's it's
cold.
it's, I mean, we did have a lot of colleagues, from New Mexico, from Arizona,
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, the class size for the DDS program when I was at that time was only 40. So it was one of the
Oh,
smallest smallest class sizes we've ever seen. International program at my year, I think they started at 10. I was the 3rd or 4th year maybe at the time. I think in my year was like 36. So, and then they capped it at 40 till now. It's always been at maximum 40 for the international student, but they did increase the DDS class from about 40 to 80 at the time.
yeah.
So now it's a 120 maximum but they did add another new floor to their school. So to
Sure.
accommodate more students, of course. But I loved it. I had such a great experience. I still
Nice.
remember my orientation day. Of course, I had no idea it was gonna be that cold. It was minus 25 degrees, and I'm
Oh,
coming in, of course, Middle Eastern here, not
right.
ha 0 winter clothes. I'm coming in with a shirt and a very thin blazer, and I'm walking, and I was like, "Why am I freezing to death here?" I was like, minus 25. I was like, I'm in the wrong state here." I was like, "I'm not used to this cold." I live like in 120 degrees weather, not minus 25.
Right.
So it's an interesting, I would say, orientation 3 days that I went through. I was like freezing,
Oh.
0 winter clothes,
Did
but it
you
was
get used to it eventually? I would assume,
I
yeah.
did. I
So
mean, again, I loved it. It was one of a kind experience, like, for someone
yeah,
who has not been in the mountains that much, even though,
mhm,
again, I was in Scotland for 4 years, so it was very mountainous, but not like Colorado mountains, you know? I learned snowboarding, we did whitewater rafting, a
yeah,
lot of outdoor sports, like,
yeah.
which for me was and it just I loved everything about it, and, I miss it till today. I visited maybe twice in the last, since I graduated almost 16 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was just for maybe one of my best friend's wedding, and who happened the same
Wow.
guy, he also went to the program, to the DDS program, so I visited him for his graduation, and then I went again for his wedding. That was it. That was the last time in Colorado.
You
Uh,
gotta go back. Go give him a lecture, something.
I actually got invited for a Seattle study club in Denver maybe a few years ago, but the thing that
Yeah,
time was just off for me and I couldn't make it. So that was the one time I got an invitation to give a lecture there.
bucket list. You gotta go back. I don't know if you still snowboard, but
I
maybe.
do, I do. That's definitely I wanna take the kids there.
Ye
My kids are into skiing and snowboarding, so I think I definitely wanna take them back to Colorado. Been to Utah once, but not to Colorado, so that's definitely on my to-do list for sure.
on your bucket list. And then, so how'd you end up from Colorado at VCU? Was it, or how'd you end up interested in perio? And then you're like, okay, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. And then how'd you end up on
Story.
East Coast, East Coast?
True story. I sucked at Perio. It was my weakest subject, the least favorite subject. I was like, I'm never gonna pass this class at all. I had like C's in dental school when I was in Colorado. I was like, oh my God, my GPA literally was low because of Perio, because it was the only one that had got a
Mm,
C. So one of our faculty, and he passed away a few years ago, unfortunately. He created like a non-credited after hours study club kind of thing, something like a
mhm,
class where he's like, anyone who's interested in advancing their perio knowledge, sign up. I was like, okay, cool. So I signed up. Like, hopefully I can maybe improve my perio scores by understanding what perio is. So it was like maybe close to 20 people that signed up at the time. Good mixture between DDS and IDP as well at the time. And he invited local periodontists from Denver, Aurora, Colorado, Boulder as well that would come in, give us lectures during this is during summer, of course, summer break. But we had school at the time because we were IDP. So we had to go to school every single day just to cramp up everything in 2 years. So we end up going, and it's like, wow, this is perio. And I'm seeing implants and sinus lifts and GBR cases and full arch at the time. It's like, holy moly, this is mind blowing, you know? So this is not scare SRPs only, you know? And so that was what really got me interested into it. And the cool thing about Colorado was that as a dental student, you had 2 days a week where you can actually do perio surgery. So you had one of the
mm,
faculty would come in and they would teach you how to do periodontal surgeries from crown lengthening and osseous. So that was what you were able to do. So the cool thing is like, cool, I'm going to start doing my own crown lengthening cases and I can restore them. And any patients who have periodontal pockets, I'm going to do their osseous surgery. And if I see any roots showing post osseous surgery, then I'm going to crown them later on because they needed some restorative work as well. So it was a great perio restorative understanding and
mhm.
kind of putting those two and two together. So for me, it really improved my understanding of that, nice interdisciplinary collaboration. So I applied to 3 programs at the time, all on the East Coast because my wife she had just finished, she's actually just, yeah, finished law school and from, GW, and she had a job in DC already, so she was kinda already established there, and she liked the area a lot, and so I applied to 3 programs. One was in Boston, Pennsylvania, and sorry, 4, and Maryland and VCU. I got into Maryland first when I interviewed there because I was like, I can drive every day. It was like 50 miles from where I live. So I was like, I can
Yeah.
maybe do this for 3 years. And then I was waitlisted for VCU, and one person just dropped out, and I was the next on the wait list. So I was like, VCU just made more sense because it was tuition free.
Yeah.
Maryland was like 40,000 a year. I'm already drowning in student debt at the time. I was like, let me just go to VCU. It's tuition free, great IV sedation experience, which is I really cared about, something I wanted to really learn the medical aspect of it as well. So I ended up going to VCU. I ended up, of course, staying there for 3 years and then just go visiting my wife every weekend. So I would drive from Richmond to DC on weekends and then come back. Of course, we had a son a month before I started my residency, so I don't think he knew who daddy was for the first 18 months. Like, I would come and he's like, "Who are you again?" And then I would leave literally Sunday. So not until 18 months he finally knew. He was like, "Okay, this is dad," you know? So but no, I
Yeah.
was like a stranger for him in the first 18 months because he had no idea who I was. I wasn't there a lot, of course, between
Yeah.
study and all that stuff. But, finished, 2015 and then moved back to, of course, the DC area and, yeah, been there ever since. So I like to call it geographic limitations was why I ended up on the East Coast.
There you go.
But if I had option, I'll be back in Colorado in a heartbeat. Like there was such
Really?
yes, because there were amazing opportunities and I really loved it there. I really truly enjoyed it.
Wow.
But DC is different. Like DC is very
Yeah.
diverse.
Mhm.
A lot of like you'll see different cultures in DC.
Mhm.
So it's nice to see that. And being whether you work in DC itself, the politics, you get to be really a part of it as well. Amazing patience from you see congressmen, you see senators, you
Yeah.
see people up they're going running for congressmen and senators. You'll see judges, Supreme Court justices. So it's just a fascinating experience in the DC area that you get to see as well. And it's just one of those highly competitive areas. Everyone's really good
Yeah.
and everyone wants to get most patients want to get things done yesterday when especially in
Yeah.
downtown DC. So that was one of a really another good work experience that I went through. But now my practice is in McLean, Virginia, so it's about 10 miles west of DC. So it's definitely different than, people don't want to get things done today or yesterday. They take their time,
Yeah.
so, they have different priorities, of course, naturally, than
Right.
DC market itself. But yeah, that's how I end up on the East Coast.
Yeah, DC's nice. I've only been the one time. The food is really good. I
Haven't done
did get attacked by mosquitoes, which was, like, awful. Like, there's so many mosquitoes.
There is because of the Potomac River. So it's
Yeah.
not the cleanest river, I would say. I think they've improved it a little bit. But yes, there's a lot of mosquitoes. I think we met when you came to DC at the
I
time.
got bit in the head. Do you remember? Like, I had a big old welt because a mosquito bit me in the head.
I remember you showed me at the yes, we were grabbing drinks at the hotel. I was like, look at my mosquito bite. I remember that.
I have, like, a super histaminic response, but the food is really good. I loved how diverse it was, and
There's
it's
a lot
so
of Michelin
clean.
restaurants in DC. Like, if
Mhm.
you really wanna get a good Michelin star experience, there's a lot of
Yes.
1 Michelin star restaurants, a ton,
Yeah, I
for
love food. I do wanna go back, especially Dr. Melanie Toe.
of
Um,
course. She's one of my faculty, so I learned a lot of her. She's amazing. She's a rock star.
I know. I so she was one of my speakers for Women in Perio, and
Yeah.
then when you told me she was your faculty, and then just meeting her, I'm just so I really wanna go spend a day, like, go back there, spend a day with her, shadow her, just
Me
see.
too. It's so worth it. I was really privileged that she invited me one time to speak for her study club. Was that maybe last year or the year before that?
Mhm.
And, it was incredible. I mean, I mean, I'm always in awe of her because the stuff that she does and how,
Yeah.
much she's advanced her practice is just unbelievable. So and the work that she does just it's mind-blowing. So, if you ever visit, it's absolutely worth your day and time just to see how she does it from a business point of view,
Right.
clinical management. She has a huge team. I mean, she has 2
Mhm.
associates and just fat and incredible. Like, I think she opened her practice when was it? 2014 or 15 when she opened her practice,
Mhm.
almost 11, 12 years ago, I would say. And just it's been beautifully growing. Like what she's been doing is just above and beyond. So kudos to her. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot like
I know. Both of you had really great things to say about each other, which is nice, but my team also saw and they're like, "She has a lot of team members." I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." But she's a startup girly too, right? Like, she did a startup.
yeah, she did. She did a
Mhm.
startup. Yeah, I think like I said, I think it was like 2014 or 15, but I
Yeah,
think it was when I finished my residency. I remember I visited her all the way in Frederick because I used to work in Gaithersburg, Maryland. So Frederick
yeah.
for me was maybe about a 30-minute drive, I would say. So I went to visit her, congratulate her, of course, and she had just opened up at the time. And now again, like I said, she has 2 associates. She focuses heavily, I think, on full arch. Her
Mhm.
associates do most of the perio
Sure.
bread and butter stuff. So, but her full arch game is like unmatched. in that area. There's no one like her, hands down.
I'm excited. So since she's a startup girly, you also did a startup. That's the point of the podcast is like startups and why. And you could have done so many other things. You could have gone into academics, you could have been a director, you could have kept doing the travel perio. Like you could have done a lot of things, but you decided to do a start from scratch practice from ground up. Like you did the whole build,
Mhm.
everything. So what was the thought process behind that for, like, the listeners that are thinking about, "Yeah, maybe I wanna buy an office, but maybe that's not a good fit," or maybe, like for me, I took over a turnkey space where I had most of the equipment already,
Mhm.
right? Which is different. You built everything from the, like, ground. Yep.
Exactly. So, just to give you a little bit of background, I've been associate almost even when I opened my practice, I was
Yeah.
still an associate in another para practice for
Mhm.
almost 8 years, honestly. I did the associateship part, was offered partnership in those associateships that I joined. And I have joined about 4 para practices in the last until I opened my own. First one was lasted a year. Again, personality between me and him wasn't
Mhm.
matched. The second practice that I joined, I loved everything about it. The thing was that, and I got offered partnership for it. The only issue about it was we were very heavy insurance driven.
Yeah.
And honestly, it just did not justify the hard work that we do with the
Right.
insurance based practice. I was like, I'm working for pennies.
Right.
Like with the materials, the overhead. I was like, when you look at you start to understand the business part of it. I was like, how you have to work, you have to see 20 to 25 patients a day, at least 10 surgeries
Yeah.
just to make sure you can break it, to make some kind of margin of
Even.
profit.
Right.
So it was a lot of grind. Definitely when you're young, you're in your early 30s, you
Mhm.
can that's fine. Do it, dude. Grind your neck, grind your
Yeah.
back. You can take it in. Okay. But the question is moving forward for the next 30, 40 years, and you're working till 60, 65, let's say 70, you can't be working at the same pace. It's just not
Yes.
realistic, with that type of work that I was doing as an associate. So I joined a different associateship in downtown DC, and it was another great experience. I was there for 3 years, part time here and part time still in my first job that I had
Mhm.
joined. And also, there's room for partnership. But the way the office was being managed, I tried to add some things that would make more sense from an associate
Mhm.
perspective, and they were just not really open to ideas. I was
Mhm.
like, and they asked me, it's like, well, we're opening a second location. Do you want to partner with that location? It's like, is the idea to do the same management system? For example, they don't want to take deposits for any simple procedure, not even $100, $200. And I would come
Insane.
in, I would have a full day full of surgeries, and then an hour later, everyone
God.
cancels. So I had no production for that day. It's like, this doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Like, how can I be productive for you guys and also get a paycheck for myself if we
Right.
can't have the patients at least commit to a certain kind of deposit just to get them come make sure that they're coming. So that was the issue that I was kind of struggling with. And 3 years later, I was like, this is not going to work for me, honestly.
Yeah.
So as that's when I decided to join my fourth one, which again, you know him very well, on one of our colleagues as well, which is in Maryland. And it was a fee for service practice,
Mhm.
incredible experience too, as well. And I loved everything about his business, his protocol, how he talks to the patient, how they have everything scheduled. Everything was just nicely systematic. And I love and respect everything about that approach. And he's an incredible clinician. I learned a lot from him clinically, but I was also
Yeah.
interested from a business standpoint too, from a fee for service, because it was the first fee for service practice that I ever joined and worked with. The one thing that the goal was to join for partnership as well, only to find out as the moment I joined that he's selling to a private equity DSO. So at that time, again, I was like, so is there room for me to partner? I mean, if there's, or am I going to be an associate? Like, so my goal was to become a partner before 40. I would have some kind of ownership before the age of 40. That was my goal for
Yeah.
myself. And it almost dragged on for close to a year. It's like, yes, it's happening. Yes, it's happening. I kept asking, yes, it's happening. I think at one point in time during that, I was like, you know what? I don't see me being a partner in this. So I decided to let me just open my own, and I was still working there, of course, working still in my first perio practice 8 years ago, 9 years ago that I joined. So I was still working juggling between two locations, still doing traveling perio on my Saturday. So I was working 6 days a week for 9 years straight. In other words,
Yeah.
not the best idea, but it was just an opportunity for me. It's like, I'm just gonna open my own, and that's one decision I made it at that time was open a fee for service practice, very, very nice and boutique, high end, was my goal. I don't see a lot of patients, honestly. We have our consults are 1 hour at a time. We take our
Yeah,
time with them.
same.
I try to do my surgeries in the morning, consults in the afternoon, 4 days a week, I'm there, and my 5th day is I'm either teaching at the dental school, I might be doing a surgical course, or I might be doing a traveling perio in one office that I still maintain. So that's how it's been going, and, best decision ever made. I know some
Yeah.
people's like, "Oh, it's a startup," but I did it from the ground up. It was nothing but flat, and, for me, I really enjoyed the experience of the build because I was there, I get to see things, how it's happening, the vision finally happening. You see the beams go up, and then the drywalls go up, and then you see the plumbings, and all these things are happening step by step, and then finally coming to fruition. So I opened it. Yeah, I was before I turned 40. 39 is when I opened my practice. That was 3 years ago, and I loved everything about it. I enjoy it, and it's been a nice growth. We have our like every other practice, of course, we have our good months and slow months, and we
Yeah.
have a good, good year, and so far it's been on the rise because it's still brand new, so we're
Yep.
building it, of course, naturally. But yeah, I mean, like every other practice, everything goes in waves, up and down. So it's just hard work, and we keep doing what we normally do, the knocking on doors and lunch and learns and study club meetings and all these things.
Yep.
So we're slowly getting into that, of course, and just try to get the name out naturally. And it's been good. I mean, I don't regret it at all. Hopefully things will get busier. And of course, that's our always our goal is to see our practice grow over the future. So yeah, just working hard on it. Honestly, that's what's we've been doing.
No, they will. Yeah, you'll keep growing. I don't know what like your consultants told you, but I was told that it would take like 4 to 6 years to be stable with a startup, that it was really risky. They're like, "You're not
Yep.
gonna pay yourself." So, I think a few important things that you touched on, but for the perio residents, even the dentists that listen to the pod, if you notice what Dr. Hassan said, he's still bringing on all these other streams of revenue into the business and into the practice to invest in himself to grow himself and grow the business. So whether it's academics, whether it's a CE course or KOL, like we both lecture for companies, like even if it's just that, there's still multiple streams of revenue. Some of your old offices where you have a good like setup, they stack the day for you. That's really, really important. I dropped a card, so I'm gonna edit this out really quick while I pick up the card. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. Or maybe I'll leave it in. Organic.
Very organic.
S Thank you. Something else that I think is really, really important is it took a long time for you to figure out where you wanted to go, what you wanted to do when you first decided, like, okay, you tried the associate stuff for a lot longer than we're actually really close or in age. I'm like, oh, he's really young. Like I think because you finished school so fast. Huh?
I'm 42. I just turned 42. So I don't know how old you are, but I'm 42. So it
I'll
took
be 39 soon. We're really close in age. I'll be
very close.
39 soon.
Very close. You haven't reached the
Yeah,
40 yet. So stay in the
I
30s while
know.
you still can. Enjoy the
This
30s.
is yes, I'm gonna do a bucket list of all the things that I do before I turn 40 because I'm excited for 40. But you tried associateship for a long time. I was a terrible associate, but I figured it out really fast. I think because I wanted to know how the business was flowing and fluxing,
Mm.
and I think I would have been a little bit better associate had I known, like, yeah, you're producing this, but this is our overhead. This is what we're really spending on materials. And I think some owners just kind of shelter us from that, which, okay, I get it. But like, I'll sign an NDA. I won't say anything. I want to know how the business comes and flows and how the money's flowing within the practice, right? So that I think I would have been a little bit better of a associate. But one thing that you touched on is I think because you were an associate at different offices, you were able to curate your practice how you want it. Like when you said we weren't collecting prepayments. In the beginning, we were collecting, I think, 20 of their like, out of pocket or whatever. But
Yes.
now 100, we're not scheduling until you pay 10 days before the surgery. If you're not financing, we have finance options, payment plans, all that. Like there's flexibility in the payment. But if it's not completed before, I'm not going to be having my team chase the money, the dollar, like, we're not a bank at the end of the day, right? So,
You're
how
absolutely yeah.
that experience from working at other offices, like, how did that help you come up with your systems within the office that you have now?
I mean, so the thing is, like, the from working in 4 perio practices, you end up learning what you like and what you
Mhm.
don't like. So you start picking, it's like, okay, in my first practice, what is it that I loved about this? What is it? How do they answer their phone calls? How were the patients greeted, for example? The second practice, what they're doing so differently? Okay, we have a
Yeah.
hygienist here, we don't have a hygienist there, for example. Third practice and fourth practice. So you end up really picking the good business part of it of each practice.
Mhm.
The stuff you don't like on that business, I'm not doing this.
Yep.
So that I think for me that was a benefit because I really that helped me shape my practice how I want to practice it by okay, taking my time. And like you said, it's like, yeah, like the first year I didn't pay myself. Most
Yeah.
people don't pay
Mm.
themselves in the first maybe 1, some of them even 2 years, as
Yeah.
far as I've heard. I know some people 18 months they go in without paying themselves.
Yeah.
They're all the money that comes in, they're reinvesting it into the practice, of course, but you brought up another good point. It's like, I was building my practice, I was there maybe 2, 3 days a week as a startup, but I was maintaining other locations as a source of revenue,
Mhm.
whether teaching, other perio practices, my Saturdays that I was sacrificing away from my wife and kids and just really
Yeah.
working hard to make sure okay, I'm losing 2, 3 days from another one, but I have to find a way to make it up another one because
Right.
we're all humans, we have mortgages to pay, we have
Right.
kids in schools, whether they're private or public, for example. There's family expenses, there's still you wanna do family trips with with your family and all that stuff. So, you have to your goal is to maintain to a certain the same lifestyle that you have for your family and yourself, while still building a whole brand new start business. It's a lot of
Yeah.
sacrifice. It takes a lot of time. So it's again picking and understanding what works well in the other locations, what's not working well, and then writing that down. And then when you're ready to start opening your own, cool, this is what I'm doing. One, two, three, four. These are the systems that I have. This is what I'm applying. I chose to do fee for service. I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like for the quality of the work that I wanted to do and the time and dedication I take per
Right.
case, it was just not an insurance driven practice. Like I do not
Yeah.
want to do that. And my experience in the fee for service practice that I joined in my the last one, I loved everything about it. I was like, "You know what? This guy is incredible. I respect what he's done. He's just done above and beyond. He's built
Yeah.
an incredible name and reputation for himself. I wanna see if I can really mimic that style and scenario all the way here in Virginia." Okay,
Yeah.
and that's what I wanted to do, and we're doing it. It's just I wish I was able to do it maybe 5 years earlier. Like I think COVID time would have been the best time for all of us, mostly to
Yeah.
maybe open up practice because interest rates were low. It was easy
Mhm.
to find spaces, of course. Rent was definitely a lot lower than it is today. But again, these are all things that decisions that we always tend to maybe regret later on. But at least you make that step is the key things. Like
Mhm.
I'm doing it, then I'm doing it. Don't second guess yourself, that's the key thing.
That's the first step is just jumping in. You're always gonna get second guess something, like, "Should I have done this?" If you would have done this, you're like,
Create
"Should I
product
maybe have," like, yeah.
and
You're always gonna second
trusting
guess.
trusting the process of like, yeah, I know it's gonna be hard, I know it's gonna be terrible in the first year, but guess what? Well, and you have to make sure that your team believes in you. Like, I started
Yeah.
with a 2 team member, that's it, just 2. Now we're 3, not including myself. With myself, I'm 4. I have 2 surgical assistants and I have a treatment coordinator, office manager. That's it. Do I need more? I had 1 more.
Yeah.
She was in the marketing, like, she was knocking on doors, introducing. It was great having her, honestly, but she wanted to do her own thing, and cool. Hey, no hard feelings. We love her. She still comes and visits us. But did we hire another one? No, not really. I think our small team is
Yeah.
sufficient enough for us because we're not
Yeah.
too busy to require more team members at this point in time. If we get to a point it's like, "Okay, I really need someone else," then that's another story, but we're not there yet. So we're just taking our time,
Yeah.
trying to keep the overhead as minimal as possible, but it's still within that 50 up to 60% range, like most perio practices it is. But yeah, that's just, so that's how we've been doing it.
I think that's key for everybody to listen. Like, you don't have to have a huge team, especially if you're doing a startup. Usually, one to two team members. If you have an assistant that can also do front desk and answer calls and schedule and like do everything else, like just start slow and then build on that. You don't have to like
I
go
mean,
all in.
at one point in time, it was just me and my assistant. At one
Yeah.
point in time, like, I had to, like, go into my office, like, my first office manager had to let her go because it's just, like, it wasn't working out, and I think it was, like, 2 weeks of my within my first year, literally at the end of my one-year anniversary, I was like, it was just we were just me and her. So
Yeah.
she was my office manager, my assistant, she was my assistant, she was answering phone calls, turning over rooms,
Yeah.
sterilization, getting patients in. It was the most horrible 2 weeks, I would say, anyone can go through until I was able to find a good office manager. She's been with me now for the last 2 years, and
Nice.
not till last year, we hired our second surgical assistant because I feel like, okay, we really need it at this point in time. Like, 1 is
Yeah.
just stretching too thin. 2 is perfect, and it was the
Yeah.
best decision by having 2 assistants and my office manager. So it's been working really well for me. At this stage, at least in my baby practice, I would like to call it.
The baby practice. No, I'm there with you too. I think I have the
Still
same
still a
place.
toddler.
But I think it's really good. Sometimes I do see like some startups and it's like, and even for like hygiene, I've tried out a few hygienists, but I'm like, for now, I'm just doing my own hygiene because
Yeah,
I haven't found the right fit. That's eventually because you're doing that and because you have one person that's doing steri, answering phones, scheduling, all the other things, you become really close. So it's really hard to
mhm,
bring somebody into the culture of the practice that you're creating.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'll give you an example. My lead assistant who I hired her maybe 3 months 2 months or 3 months before even my practice was open. When she came in, I showed her the office. It was just beams. I was like, "Is this happening?" I was like, "Yeah, it's happening. Just be patient with me." And I paid her from my own. I hadn't of course, my practice wasn't
Mhm.
open, so I didn't have, like, a capital dedicated
Right.
for it. But from my own income that I used to get from, like, my traveling gigs and all
Yeah.
that stuff, I was putting money on the side, and I was using that money to pay her a salary and, like, hourly. I was like, "Just go market. All I have to do is knock on doors,
Right.
let them know I'm coming into the area, and find out doctors who are interested in lunch and learns, put in an Excel sheet, so when I'm ready to come in, at least I know which office you visited, which office I need to make sense for me to introduce myself. If you think it's not worth it, then tell me it's not worth it. If they have an
Right.
in-house perio, write that down so I don't have to waste my
Right.
time visiting those offices." And that's what she did. For 3 months, that's exactly what she did. So she's been with me the longest, and I feel like now she's off for vacation for 2 weeks with her family. I was like, I feel like I'm lost without her. Like, this is gonna be the most interesting 2 weeks right now to work with. So
I know. Everybody and like this office this, they're friends with the friend. And then when they start becoming friends with like your other referrals, you're like, great.
it's that's really why you want a good relationship, with like I said, with the team members of other offices to make sure there's a good going on relationship moving forward.
I like that. Did you take any like business consultants in, or was this like, were you like me where I was like, I want to learn? Like, I want to learn and I want to learn it myself. And if I need help, I will find help and I will
Mhm.
ask people. But I knew this wasn't going to be my first and only startup. I knew what I want for my like life
Mhm.
in the perio business world. So I wanted to learn everything. Like I wanted to learn practice management software. I wanted to know, like you said, like I also had like a marketing like book and you write down every office like, oh, this is a front desk name, we went here, you collect the business cards and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. I didn't know about like payroll processing, all the insurances we need. Like there's just so much that goes into a business. Did
Uh,
you hire a company to help or were you just like, I'll figure it out?
I was like, "I'm gonna figure." I didn't hire
Yeah.
0 companies. Everyone
Yeah.
calls me like, "Did you hire a consulting company? And why did you choose this
No.
place?" Like, "I just wanted to open here." I wanted to open here. It's like, I know there's like literally within 3 miles, there's 6 periodontists. That's how much this is within a 3-mile radius. I was like, anywhere I go,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a lot of periodontists. It's Northern
Yeah.
Virginia. I mean, it's saturated. We
True.
have perio coming from Florida, will spend a week here and they go back to Florida on weekends because they have a Virginia license. That's so people come from Pennsylvania. So I know it's saturated. These are I have 6 periodontists in established perio practices within a 3-mile radius,
It's
okay?
crazy.
I don't
Yeah.
know how many traveling perio that is or in-house
Right.
because they're a
You
dime a
can't.
dozen.
Mhm.
So, there's so many of them, of course. So, I just was like, "You know what? This is a great area, it's an affluent area." Most of the perio here are also fee for service. I was like, "Cool, I'm doing things different than they do. I'm not them,
Yes.
they're not me. I have my niche that I like to work on and focus on. They might have their niche that they wanna focus on, and my niche is gonna be soft tissue and immediacy and professionalization, and those
Yeah.
are the things I love about, and I do IV sedations. Most of them don't do IV sedations, so that's my plus, I would say, to it, and the immediacy and provisionalization, a lot of them don't do provisionalization, I do provisionalization. It's like, cool, that's another niche for me, and the complex soft tissue cases that no one wants to touch, I was like, "Great, I'm here."
Yes.
So, that's why it's like I decided to be here. Like, if I do have a second location, where would it be? I'd love to go back to DC. Yeah, because I live in DC.
I thought you were gonna be like Colorado.
No, 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 I would be in DC because I live in DC, so it's more of a proximity point of view. But
Yeah.
again, DC as well, it's another market by itself. It has there's more
Different.
perio within a 1-mile radius than anywhere else is maybe in DC. There's maybe anywhere between 7 to 8 periodontists in a 1-mile radius if you wanna open there. But like I said, like, it's just there's them and there's you, and it's about
Right.
how unique you are, what makes you so special compared to the other periodontists, and you set a different bar and the way you practice perio. And again, after I think 11 years of practicing, you start to understand what makes you unique than anyone else. So it's just
Yeah.
that's how I've been. I love what I do. I really do. I enjoy it every step of the way.
Okay. I think for my pair residents that listen, I did the student new doc a panel for AP when it was here in San Diego. And
Yeah.
a big question that I had was like, how do you deal with the competition? And I'm like, not that there's no competition, but when you focus on those numbers, I remember sitting down one day, minus all the travel perio, because I have no way of keeping track who's coming in and out of San Diego and they don't live here and they're not registered with
Mhm.
our dental society. With just the periodontists that were registered with the dental society, there's over 100. And within my radius, a lot of them, because I went to school out here, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of them are my faculty, my co-residents, like my friends, my colleagues. Like you can't focus on the competition. I think you just have to focus on exactly like what you're saying, like yourself. What do you have to offer? What makes you different? And you find those referrals, you find those patients, and they come to you eventually once you establish your reputation within the community, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's exactly that. Like, I mean, I
Mhm.
talk to a lot of perio here, and it's amazing to see that some of them I've been practicing here for maybe 10 plus years. And I talk to like, hey, what's the easy or they ask me, what CE courses do you recommend? I haven't there someone's like, I haven't taken one in like in 10 years. I was like, or 15 years. I was like, like my eyes open like this, like, oh, okay, wow. So you've been practicing perio for 15 years and not one CE. I was like, so what how do you improve? You know, so that does for me doesn't make sense. Like our profession is evolving so much at such
Yeah.
a rapid pace. So for me, the way I see it is that if I can take one or two at least international CE courses a year to be at that level where no one else can reach me, that's how I can really make myself incredibly unique that I'm there to manage the most complex cases. And that way I get to see those cases. So it keeps my practice busy enough. Maybe I'm not seeing 10, 15, 20 patients a day of
Okay.
surgeries, but the 2, 3 cases that I get to see in a day, the surgical wise, might be worth it enough for me
Right.
because it's so complex and advanced that you're coming to me, that I am unique in a way that I have the authority at that point in time to charge a specific fee that justifies it because I've
Mm.
worked so hard on myself to get to that level, you know?
Yeah.
So, but how many of those are you gonna see, you know? And yeah, in my area, not much, unfortunately. Like,
Yeah.
there's just not much who's willing to go that extra level to make themselves that extra unique, you know? So for your residents who are listening and for the other periodontists, like that's how again, how I like to see myself. Like, you know, what can you do be extra unique? What do you have to do for yourself to go that extra mile that you can stand out than the rest? You know, that's literally it.
What classes do you recommend? I always get this question. What classes do you recommend for residents? I always tell my residents to take the classes while they're in residency because they're going to get a discount. They're probably going to get a discount on the instruments. And
Mhm.
you want to like start to put yourself in the room with those people then. That's what I did. Whether I put it on a credit card, whether I had a little money because I had a little side business at the time, like that's always been my recommendation. So, what classes do you recommend that residents take?
I mean, if you're a resident and you can afford it, honestly, yeah, I what you said, Yvette, is like from an instrumentation, you get great discounts on instruments, which is I think what
Mhm,
all of us did when we first graduated. We always bought our huge set of instruments the moment we graduated using the resident
mhm.
discount. In the US, there's a lot of great courses in the US that offer resident discounts. Some of them are up to 50% of that course
Yep,
fee. So whether you're doing soft tissue only, for example, a lot of people will take the Pat Allen course. I took
yep.
that course as well myself. You want to take my course, you're welcome as well. We
Okay,
have our courses as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. We have
yeah,
offer resident discounts as well. But there's incredible US courses, that happens throughout the year, and they have a lot of great resin discounts. So whether it's hard tissue focus, soft tissue focus, photography perhaps. I
okay.
took a photography course as well many years after my graduation because my photography sucked at that time. Now
Same.
it's much better, of course. I also recommend international courses, at
Yeah,
least one international course. Don't take that immediately unless you have the money to do it, but I built myself some money put aside to really focus on those international courses because it's more costly. You have your planes, you have your international flights, hotels, probably currency difference as well. The fees for that course, it's usually a week that you're taking, you have to take off. So if you're comfortable doing that, of course, do it. I think I started doing international courses maybe 3 years after I graduated. So maybe 2018 was my first one, I would have to say. I took at that time Esteban Urban's course. I went to
mhm,
Budapest and I spent I think like 3 days there taking his vertical course. The year later, I went to Germany, took the Kuris technique course with Frank Zastro at the time before he passed
yeah,
away. I've been to Brazil at least 2 times, learning soft tissue courses from Brazilians because they're incredible as well. I've been to
yep.
Portugal, I've been to Spain. So every year I find some unique international course and just to kind of improve myself, whether it's soft tissue, hard tissue, full arch gain, FP1, FP3. And some courses I've taken them more than once because you take it a second time, there's new cases that they're showing, new techniques, methodologies that you can
Mhm.
add to what you know already. But okay, what can I do to make it better? So it's a never ending. And then I get to bring that knowledge, I get to bring it here whether I teach it here on my courses or I can also apply it on my patients to give them their best outcomes as well. But yeah, I mean, use for the residents. If you have the financial capability, do it if you can. International, plan a week. Yeah, you can take off. I don't know about you if you can do it during residency. My program director never gave me a week. We have our weekends were studying and studying literally for classic
Yeah,
lit and current lit. So we never had that privilege in my residency time. But some other residencies are different. I think post-COVID, they made things maybe a little bit more lax. You can
yeah.
take a week off. We never had that privilege at the time. So I don't know how things are today, of course, but each program is structured differently and uniquely in its own way. But yeah, I would highly recommend always keep that continuing education just to be that next level periodontist in your area.
I like that. So, what's next for Fadi Hassan? We talked a little bit about your CE course. Do you want to tell us what's going on? What you guys have
Uh,
coming up?
so I've been doing again hard and soft tissue CE courses. 3 days is what we do. Me and my colleague Dimitri
3?
3 days. Yeah,
Ah,
our courses are 3 days long, so it's
yeah.
3 days hard and soft tissue, pig jaws each day, where we really go through the first 2 days is nothing but soft tissue from, your Vista techniques, your
Mhm.
tunnel, open flap approach, free gingival grafts, and with all hands-on application. Day 3 is your GBR. So we use attacking techniques, like the sausage technique and the periosteal suture technique for it. So it's a really fun 3 days. We have it East Coast, West Coast, which is kind of cool. So we'll do it LA and then in the DC area.
Smart.
So yeah, we do about 40 a year. This year we're projecting about we have 5. We've done 4 already. We have the 5th one coming in September,
Mhm.
LA, and hopefully a 6th one either in DC or it's going to be somewhere maybe in Canada, going back to Canada again. We did
Oh,
one in Canada this year. We got a great response and feedback. They want us to come back again. So hopefully we'll do maybe one more if you have the opportunity, of course, to do it in maybe around November-ish time if that's possible. So that's our goal. And yes, our class is not crazy big. It's anywhere between 30 to not more than 35 because we want to have a good control
Mhm.
over the teaching aspect of it as well. And it's fun. We show them everything. We show them complications. We show them our own cases. What happens when things go wrong? How do we manage it? How long do cases last when we start these big,
Mhm.
big complex cases? Some of them take a year, year and a half. But just to make them understand, like, it's not just a one and done and one one procedure fix all. Some of them takes time and patience. So we go through these really a lot of details into it, which makes it, good back and forth communication. And we stay in contact with all of them.
Nice.
We will get so many DMs till today is like, hey, I have this case. How should I manage this? So it's really fun that we stay in contact. And we've done about what, 21 courses, I think, 20 courses. Yeah.
Wow.
Finish our
Yeah.
20th course in Houston this year. So 5 years
Nice.
strong, and we'll see how it goes in the future. Just can I keep updating the agenda with it and making it fun.
That's good. That's exciting. Okay, and then we'll do a little bit of rapid fire. What's your favorite instrument?
The Tunneling Kid by Helmer Zepf, the
One.
tunneling
One
spoon.
instrument.
That's
The
the one.
Yeah.
It's a straight and curved one. I love it. I
Yeah.
do soft
Yeah.
tissue, so that's my baby. I cannot
Yep.
work without it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then also, who would you like to see on the podcast next?
Jess.
We chatted about it earlier. I'm really upset with Jess.
Jess Lou, you're up next. Okay, you're out. You're coming out. I'll text him as well. I was like, you have to
Thank
do it.
you.
Yeah, Jess is cool.
Thank
You
you.
love him. He's awesome, and he's my brother. I can't say that. He's a
I
brother.
No, I love Jess, but he did Wahan, who's also my good friend's podcast first before mine. And so I was like, hello, did you forget about your little sister?
I mean, there's so many great people. If you can do with John Kim is another one. Will Trahan is another great guy. One of my
Oh,
co
yeah.
I love Will. He's a he's my CE brother.
He's
We
so
do all
sweet.
of our CEs
Oh,
together. We travel
together.
any international CE.
Yeah.
It's me and Will together. That for the last
Oh,
7 years we've been doing it together. So
nice.
yeah, so if you have a good co-resident, pick one for all the residents out there. That's your CE buddy, and
Yeah.
find the good courses and do it together because it's good to have a companion and to brainstorm ideas when you guys go back and make sure. Oh, what did they say? So it's not by yourself. At least you have someone to remember what you guys discussed about. But yeah, Will is another awesome guy, incredibly
Where's
talented.
he practicing?
He practices in outside of Chicago. I think it's called St.
Okay.
Charles, if I'm not mistaken. Outside, it's about 45 minutes to an hour. 45 minutes outside of Chicago. Incredible fee for service perio practice that he
Nice.
joined from the day he finished his residency. So he's been in the same location. It's good to see how he's been doing it, staying in one
Yeah.
place as well. And he's a partner now, of course.
Right.
He's an owner with it
Nice.
as well. But amazingly talented periodontist, very fine skills as well that I would trust my own mouth with, honestly. So, but yeah,
Oh,
there's incredible people out there. I mean, just amazing periodontists, prosthodontists, oral surgeons, orthodontists, and sky's the limit here in the U.S. So they're all incredibly talented.
it is a good group. I have one last gripe to pick with you. We have a mutual friend that we did not know that both of us were very close to,
Mhm.
Zagar.
Yes, Zagar Zagar. Oh my gosh. So
So,
yeah,
how do you know Zagar?
oh, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was one of the interviews in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, something like that is when I think we interviewed, or either we interviewed at the same time or he interviewed the year after, and we just stayed in contact. Awesome, awesome guy. He actually invited me this year to speak for, I think as like they have their own conference, I think that they do. He invited me there to speak. I think that was the weekend where I think I was just out of town or something. Something was happening, so I did confirm yes when he first texted me, but then, of course, something came on the schedule. I was like, "Hey, man, I just wanna let you know, but unfortunately, I cannot make it this year." So, but awesome guy, and I know he went to Loma Linda with you, is that correct?
He was
Uh,
my attending at Loma Linda because he did IDP, so he was one of the attendings, and we used to have the homeless clinic Tuesday nights, Thursday nights. So if you really wanted to get ahead, learn removable, learn Plas. Like Loma Linda is it's a hard school. It's not
it's
easy.
a
It's easier
great school. It's
now.
a phenomenal school,
Thank
and
you.
I think he did endo, correct? Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, so we call ourselves a endoperio lesion. So whenever you're ready to come back, we could do an endoperio CE, which I think would be I've been trying to get you out here to do CE for a long time. It's just like you're
Le
so busy, I'm so busy. Zagar is at a really great practice, but to do endoperio, I think that would be a good like what's next on
That'd
the
be cool because
horizon.
I work with a
Mhm.
lot of endodontists and, I do a lot of apicoectomies, a lot of,
Mhm.
what is it called? I see a lot of, oh my god, cemental
Cemental
tears.
tears? Yeah.
So ma I have the and I have beautifully documented cases with cemental tears and always discussion of what causes them. And I have my theory. I'm gonna say it's mostly occlusion is what I've seen
Yeah.
because they're always in the interior sextant.
Yep.
I tend to see
Yep.
them, and it's always someone bit something, and it develops a little bit later on. But it's cemental tears. I treat them so much, and it's always with endo collaboration. And it's really fun to see those cases working side by side with your endo colleagues.
Yeah, one of my speakers, my one of my return speakers was Ashley Hoders, who's periopros, and she
Yeah.
was the first female periopros. Yeah, and she did cemental tears, and a lot of my referrals were at the conference, and they've never heard of cemental tears.
I agree 100%.
I've had so many referrals come in this week for cemental tears, and
There
yeah,
are a
it's
lot
it's
there are a
crazy,
lot.
but
There are a lot. Like, now it's like, oh, you look at it, like, at the X-ray, and look at the CT, it's a mental tear. It's like, "What?" I was like, "It's a mental tear." Like, I was like,
right.
once you see a lot of it, you immediately can diagnose it within a heartbeat. It's like, "I know what this is." Like, this is
It's
my
like
brain.
a the cervical enamel projection when I was doing my in-house perio, and I wasn't doing osseous for years. I just had no osseous cases. But again, I was in La Jolla. And so I'd get a case and I was all excited for one tooth. And I'm like, oh, GTR, a little bit of osseous. And I'd flap it open, cemental tear. I'm like, great.
Just get a burn.
But I know.
Get away.
I know. But yay, okay. So NECE, let me know. I will link it down below for anybody in our audience. And we are definitely going to get you out here, me and Zagar, to
It would be an
do it.
honor. It would be an
Endoperio lecture.
that
Okay.
would be cool.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you for your time.
Habibi.
I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Don't hang up.